Good evening. Good evening. Anybody there? Good evening. The class is going to start in a few moments. Okay, so please come to this online classroom. This week the lecture is also going to be conducted online. Okay, but I hope that next month, probably in the middle of the month, okay, in the middle of February, the class is going to be back to normal, i.e. the normal classroom. Okay, I'm going to let you know later. At the moment, the class is conducted online. Okay, now according to my screen, okay, I have about 11 students. Okay, so I hope that the rest will be coming here very soon. Okay. Again, can you hear me? Okay, if you can't hear me, then you can just let me know. I have got a message from the Nijit, okay, Panya Satira, okay, saying that good evening, crop. Okay, yes, we are here. Can you also tell me, Tina Lu, whether you can hear me all right? Okay, I'm going to make sure that the signals, okay, whether audio signals or video signals are okay for you. Okay, now I'm behind the screen. Okay, I'm behind the camera. Okay, and in a moment I'm going to go to the desk where I'm going to be sitting at. Okay, so right now I have got a message from Tina again informing that everything seems to be okay, and again also a message from Napat saying that you can hear me clearly. Okay, very good indeed. Okay, so if from time to time if you encounter any problems, okay, with regard to the signals, okay, audio signal or video signal, then you should let me know. Okay, on time. Right now, let me just go to the desk. Okay, now. Good evening again. Good evening. Okay, so I hope that everything seems to be much better than last week. Okay, last week I think that I have the Wi-Fi here, the speaker. Okay, the last speaker which seems to block your side. Okay, it's blocked the screen a bit. Now I have made adjustment to the position at which the loudspeaker is placed. Okay, so that nothing blocked your view now. Okay. So let me just sit down. Okay, the thing is that when I try to move around, okay, the camera at the smartphone or also at the tablet seem to do the autofocus so that the picture can become blurry. So I, for this purpose, I try to limit my movement. Okay, as much as possible so that you can have a clear, okay, the picture. Okay, now I'm going to look at our classroom, the online classroom, at through this mobile phone. Okay, if something goes wrong, then I think that I will just have the knowledge of that. Okay, and try to just make adjustment. Okay, where is that? Do I see myself on the screen now? No, not yet. I have not seen my show on the screen yet. Okay, so then let me just go to our online classroom right now. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, where is that teaching session? We know that we are in teaching session number 2, correct? Number 2. Okay, and the topic for this evening is still the CISG. Okay, I hope that you don't know what the CISG is. Okay, so again, wait, just give me a few seconds. Okay, so that I will just go to our online classroom, International Business Transactions Law 2021. Yes, now I see myself. Okay, I see myself now at via this mobile phone. Okay, so if you encounter any trouble, any problem, then just bring your attention to me. I have, according to my screen here, okay, the 18 students. Okay, so welcome to this online classroom. Okay, last week, remember we talked about what? We talked about the CISG. Remember the very first topic of our course is the UN Convention on the Contracts for International Sales of Goods, or for short we call this one CISG. Okay, last week we looked at important facts, okay, regarding this CIGs, okay. So this we will continue from where we stopped last time, okay. So we have seen already that CIG seems to be very popular, okay, so that many countries now, as of the January, as of this month of this year, okay, there are a total of what? A total of, I think that means 90 something, right? 90 something members of the CISG. Let me go back to the what? Let me go. Sorry, I put the wrong button. So that is the I think that forwards, right, and backwards. Okay. Wait. Let me just we now come back to this slide. Remember, as of what? As of today, perhaps as of what? As again, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, I try to just go back as of January. Okay, as of January then to 2020. Okay, how many people? How many members now? There are 94 members. Okay, so that there is in fact very large participation from the world. Okay, participation towards this CIG. Okay, but unfortunately, Thailand is not on the list. And as we have seen from the lecture last week. Okay, if we look at some countries. If we look at some countries around us, okay, we can see that. My God, I pressed the wrong button again. Okay, so that means wait. Where is the status of the member? Yes, this one. Okay, you can see that Vietnam, joins CISG. Okay, and this seems to be a list of countries which are the neighbors or around us, okay, in ASEAN, okay. You get what? You get also North Korea. North Korea is not in ASEAN, okay, but that is not even far away from Thailand. North Korea also joined in 2019. Even Laos, okay, Laos, the country which seems to be landlocked, no sea at all, okay. Laos has even joined CIG in 2019. So I hope that Thailand is going to join this the CIG very soon. Okay, that has been said last time. Now we begin with the scope of application. Okay, as we have seen, that it doesn't mean that CISG apply to all international sales. Okay, in order for sales, okay, in question to be covered by the CISG, you need one thing. You need internationality, okay, requirements. Okay, CISG applies to contracts for international sales of goods. Okay, how do we know that? The contract in question, it is a domestic sale or an international sale. Last week we explored quite a lot. The criteria, okay, for determining the difference between inter sale and domestic sale. And I have brought to attention that in Thai law, our law, okay, in our law we have not had clear the criteria for making the determination of inter sales and domestic sales. Okay, but CISG does contain a very working criterion for determining the internationality. Okay, we will talk about that. Okay, and we will also see that okay, some matches, some sales are excluded from the application of the CISG. Okay, and also some contracts, even though they look like sale, okay, simply because we have sort of delivery of goods. But if we consider carefully, we will see that it is not the sale per se, okay. Even though it involves sort of the delivery, but it is not. It is not a sale per se, okay. It is come close to a sale, but it is not a sale, okay. It is not purely sales, okay. So we will see that those transactions, the transactions which look like sale, but they are not the pure sale, are excluded from the application of the CISG as well. Okay, and also certain matters are excluded from the application of the CISG as well. Okay, we will see all of this now. Now we begin with the internationality. Remember, for 7 questions to be covered by the ambit or the scope of the CISG. Okay, it has to be an international cell, and in order to tell whether or not the same question it is an international cell or not, okay, CISG come up with the criteria. Okay, the criteria are this. I mean the two parties, let's say the A and B, we use the language A and B, okay, for convenience or for ease of understanding. Okay, A and B, the parties to the contract, must have places of business in different states. Okay, this is the very first thing. Okay, in order to trigger the internationality requirement. Okay, so A and B must have places of business in different states. Not only that. Okay, there are 2 choices as well. Apart from the fact that A and B, have places of business in different states. Okay, we require either one of these first. Okay, both states, okay, are contracting states. Okay, in in this situation, when A and B have places of business in different states, and those 2 different states are contracting states, then CISG will apply. Okay, in this case, we call the application in this fashion as the direct application or direct applicability. Okay, but there is also another option. Okay, apart from the fact that A and B must have places of business in different states. Okay, maybe not these 2 states are contracting state, but maybe one of states is just a contracting state. The thing is that the rule of PIL, the rule of private international law, leads to the law of the country, okay, which is a contracting state. Okay, that in the situation, okay, the application in this situation, it is known as the indirect application or indirect applicability. Okay, maybe we begin with the first one. Okay, remember the first one it was. The first one is that A and B, both parties have places of business in different states, and okay, when they have place of business in different states, those 2 different states are contracting states. Okay, so A and B, when A and B have places of business in different states, and both states are contracting states. Okay, now look at example here. Okay, let's suppose that again we have A and B. Let's suppose that A has a place of business in Australia. I'm gonna try to make sure that the loudspeaker works. I don't know. Sometimes most of the time the loudspeaker just stop after 20 minutes. That seems to be the setting from the factory, and I try to find out how to erase, how to delete this factory setting. Okay, but sometimes I have done say that the Wi-Fi, the loudspeaker still stops after 20 minutes. So if this happens, then please just allow me to just put this loudspeaker into function again. Okay, so don't be surprised if it stops and I have to just turn it on again and again at the interval of 20 minutes. I hope that it will not happen today. Okay, again, back to A and B. A has a place of business, let's say in Australia, and B has a place of business in where? In Germany. Okay, you can see that in this case, both parties A and B have places of business in different states, and we look at these states. The first one is Australia. The other one is Germany. Okay, you can see that both Australia and Germany, okay, they are contracting states. So in this case, both parties have places of business in different states, and these different states are contracting states. Okay, so that in this case, CISG will apply to this contract. This contract it is an international sale, okay, which falls within the ambit of the CISG, okay. If we look at in this channel, okay, we can see that in this situation it falls within Article 1.1a. If you look at 1.1a here, okay, this convention applies to contracts for sales of goods between parties whose places of business are in different states. See, this is number one. And okay, the states are contracting state. Okay, two requirements. Okay, places of business of the parties are in the different states. The parties have places of business in different states. This is number one. Number two is that those different states are contracting state. Okay, so when we have the requirements under Article 1.1a like this, CISG will apply. Okay, the verification in this situation, it is known as the what? As I have mentioned, okay, it is known as the direct application or direct applicability. Okay, so normally this seems to be very straightforward. Okay, so the consequence of this situation is that CISG will apply. Let's go that again back to the facts. We have A and B. A has a place of business in Australia. Okay, Australia, of course, it is a contracting state. Australia, it is a member to the CISG. Okay, and B has a place of business in Germany. Let's suppose that A purchased the goods. A purchased 100 tons of iron. Okay, from B. B is an exporter in Germany, okay, and Germany, it is also a CISG contract state. Let's suppose that A and B, they made a contract in Germany. You know that when A and B made a contract in Germany, okay, we go to the PI rule. Remember, let's say that when B is a seller, okay. B now wants to sue A because the buyer A is buyer B. A has not yet made payment on the price, and B the seller wants to sue A the buyer. B sue A. Let's suppose that in a German court, because B is in Germany. In this case, when the contract was made in Germany, okay, we apply the PIL rule. That I have told you that PIL rules seem to be very rather universal. Okay, the contract is going to be governed by the law. Now the microphones switch off because the speaker just switched off. So I now put it back. To function. Okay, so that's why I tell you that this one just stopped after 20 minutes. I don't know why. Hello? Just wait for it to be back. The two is working the function. Wait. Hello. 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 Oh my God, what's wrong with that now? It doesn't seem to work. But I hope that you can just hear me well. Right. Again, I try to just put it back to its full function. Hello. What's wrong with that? Let me see. Okay. So, very good. Okay. Perhaps I just pressed the wrong button. Well, sorry about that. Okay, back to the fact again. Now it's 5:57. I think that it's going to stop again in the 6:17. Okay. All right. Now, remember that A has place of A has a place of business in Australia, a CISG contracting state, and B has a place of business in Germany, also a CISG contract state. Okay, the contract was made in Germany, and B wants to sue A in Germany. According to the PIL rule, the contract, okay, is governed by the law of the place where the contract is made. Okay, in this case, the contract was made in Germany. Okay, so in this case, I mean the German court, the court which has jurisdiction over this case would have to apply which country law? German law. Okay. Of course, in Germany, okay, there are two bodies of sale law. The first one is the normal sale, the body of law which apply to normal with domestic sales. The second one it is the specific law which implements the CISG. In this case, does German court have to apply the CISG or just the law, the domestic sale law? Okay, the consideration which we have to make is whether or not the internationality requirements are met. We can see that in this case we see the direct application or direct applicability simply because the parties A and B A and B have places of business in different states, and these two different states are just contract state. Okay, so that CISG directly applies to this case. Okay, now we look at example number 2. Okay, let's suppose that the facts are the same. Okay, A from the having a place of business in Australia, A CISG contracting state. Okay, and B has a place of business in Germany. Okay, also a CISG contracting state. Okay, but let's suppose that the contract was made in Italy. Right, and again, B, the seller, wants to sue A, the buyer, in Germany. The reason why B wants to sue A in Germany because B is in Germany. Okay, B has a place of business in Germany, so this party tends to sue. Okay, in its own country. Okay, so in this case, when the German court has jurisdiction over this case, the German court will have to apply applicable law, according to the PIL rules, according to the private international law rules. Okay, again, the private international law rules, say that the contract is going to be governed by the law of the country where a contract is made. In this case, the contract was made in Italy. Okay, so that the German court would have to apply Italian law. Okay, Italian law. But in Italy again, there are two different sets of law. Okay, the first set applies to domestic sales. The other one applies to an international sale. Okay, according to the CISG. Okay, so the question which the German court will have to consider is whether or not CISG apply to this case, whether or not the internationality requirements according to CISG are met. Okay, given that in this case, on the facts, A and B have places of business in different countries, and those countries are contracting state. Again, that falls within the requirements in Article 1(1)(a), which is the provision dealing with the direct application or direct applicability. Okay, I think that when these two examples are clear to you. Okay, now we come to the chapter number 2. Okay, where the CISG apply not directly, but it is the indirect applicability or indirect application. Okay, remember, if we go to the Article 1(1)(b), it is the case of the indirect application or indirect applicability. Okay, the requirements are this: first, the two parties have places of business in different states. Secondly, the PIL rules leads to the application of the law of a contracting state. Okay, so we are going to look at an example, maybe two examples. In this case, okay, in example number one here, again we have A and B. Let's suppose that A is located in Germany. Of course, Germany it is a CISG contracting state. Okay, and B, let's say B is a rice exporter in Bangkok, Thailand. In this country, in Thailand, okay, we are not a member of the CISG. Okay, so Thailand is a non-CISG contract state. Okay, let's suppose that a contract was made in Singapore, and A, the buyer, A has business in Germany. Okay, now A, the buyer, a German buyer, wants to sue B, a Thai seller. Given that the buyer has a place of business in Germany, so it sues in a German court in order to claim damages for non-conformity of the goods. Okay, in this case, does the German court apply the CISG or apply the domestic sales law, maybe the commercial code? Okay, so you can see that now the two parties A and B, they have places of business in different states. In different states, can you put an S here? Okay, in different states. Okay, they're in the different states. Okay, and only one state is a contract state. Only one state, Germany. Okay, it is a CISG contract state. The other one, Thailand, is not a contract state. So that in this case, we do not have the internationality requirements according to Article 11A. But we have to see whether or not we have the internationality according to Article 11B. Look at 11B. Okay, remember if we go back to 11B, going back to 11B, see? The parties have places of business in the state, and the rule of PAL leads to the application of the law of a contract state. In this case, okay, coming to this one, the two states, A and B have places of business in different states, but only one state it is a contract state. Okay, but the thing is that when the contract was made in Singapore, okay, when A sues B in a German court, the German court would have to apply the applicable law, which is the Singapore law, the law of Singapore. Okay, we can see that the PIL, private international rules, leads to the law of Singapore. That is the contract state. The PIL rules leads to the law of a contract state. So in this case, the German court will have to apply CISG because the internationality requirements are met according to Article 11B, even though it is not falling under 11A, but it falls within the ambit of 11B. In this case, okay, the application in this case is known as, again, the what? The indirect applicability. Okay, now I have changed the facts. Okay, the facts are similar. Okay, but let's suppose that, okay, we have one different thing. Okay, the one different thing. Okay, the one different thing is that what? Going to this fact. Okay, let's suppose that we have A and B. A is a company located in Italy, which is of course a CISG contracting state. Okay, and B is located in Bangkok, Thailand. Okay, A purchased, let's suppose that tapioca from B. Okay, and in this case, let's let's suppose again that the contract was made in Singapore. Right, the contract was made in Singapore. Okay, when B, the seller, sues A in Thailand, so because B is in Bangkok, see, so B tends to sue before a Thai court. Let's suppose that B sues A before a court of Thailand. Okay, in this case, a Thai court would have to apply the applicable law, given that the contract was made in Singapore, so that the Thai court would have to apply which country law? Singapore law. Correct. In this case, in Singapore, there are two sets of rules. The first one applied to domestic sales, the other one applied to international sales, i.e. CISG. Does Thai law, does Thai law have to apply CISG? Put simply, we have to consider with, do we have, the internationality according to CISG? Okay. So we can see that the party A and B, they have places of business in different states. Okay. And of course, Thailand is not a contract state, and the PIL rules lead to the law of Singapore. In this case, would the Thai court have to apply the CISG? The answer is no, because Thailand is not a CISG country. Thailand is not a CISG state, so that Thailand has no obligation. Thailand has no international obligation under the CISG, so that 11A or 11B will not buy upon a Thai court. Will not buy Thai courts. Okay, so in this case, the Thai court does not need to, to apply the CISG. Okay, I hope that means you're clear about, the internationality under the CISG. Article 11A and 11B. Back to the wording in 11A and 11B. Okay, in order to, to bring back, your the understanding. Okay, again, 11A. It is a case of what? 11A is a case of the direct applicability. 11B is a case of indirect applicability. Okay, that if you are not quite clear, then you can just go back to my explanation. Okay, I have to move forward because now the teaching is online, so that I do not have much time. Okay, so now let's move on. Okay, let's move on to look at the more the things. Okay, we now have seen that the internationality requirements under CISG. Okay, it is linked also to the place of business. Remember, the very first requirements is that the two parties have places of business in different states. How do we, determine the place of business? Okay, when we deal with the places, it doesn't mean that all places are places of business. Some places may not be perceived as places of business. Okay, if we look at the explanations of the CISG. Okay, when CISG was prepared, the lecture. Okay, after its preparation, we also have sort of a digest. The DIGESC digest. Digest. It is sort of the instrument which explains the elements or the substances of CISG. UN or the UNCITRAL has prepared a digest. Okay, you can look at the digest. Maybe on website. Okay, if you just key properly, you can use Google. Okay, you can type CISG digest, and then it will just take you to the digest. Okay, the digest give you explanation. Okay, and according to the digest, when CISG makes a mention of place of business, it requires sort of the degree of permanency or degree of stability. Okay, that means that the place in question, in order for a place to be a place of business, okay, within the meaning of the CISG, it has to be a rather permanent place. It has to be rather stable. Okay, so we require, a certain degree of duration or a certain degree of stability. Okay, so that, if one place is used, just for, a single contract, or if a place is used only for preparation of the negotiations, okay, not a permanent place meant for making contracts on a regular basis, then that place is likely to be regarded as not a place of business according to the CISG. Okay, so we can see that the following uh, uh, will not be considered as a place of business within the meaning of the CISG. First, the place where the goods are merely stored, okay, or when the booths at an exhibition of goods, then this is not, okay, considered as a place of business according to the CISG. Okay. Also, if you deal with what? If you deal with a place which is used for dealing with the negotiations, okay, on an regular basis, okay, that is not the place of business. Also, even a liaison office is not considered as a place of business, for the purpose of fulfilling the internationality requirements in the CISG. Okay, again, the CISG makes a mention of the place of business. Okay, makes a mention of what? Make a mention of the internationality requirements, and as I have explained to you, okay, the internationality requirements, it is linked to having places of business in different contracting states, where those two different states are contracting states, or where the PIL rule leads to the law of the contract state. Okay, so if those requirements are met, it does mean that CISG will have to apply. Okay, so we can see that CISG make it clear that, okay, in order for the CISG to apply, we do not what? We do not look at nationality. So whether the A or B, the A is national of what country, that is not material. Okay, so that we will not look at it. We will not look at what? We will not look at, okay, nationality at all. Okay, and we do not look at civil or commercial characters of parties. We do not look at civil or commercial character of the contract either. Okay, this is made clear in the Article 1.3 of the CISG. According to Article 1.3, it says what? It's going to be 6.17 very soon. I think that at 6.17, then my last speaker will stop again, and I have to just put it back into its function. Okay, back to Article 1.3 of the CISG. 1.3 of CISG says neither the nationality of the parties nor the civil or commercial character of the parties. Okay, the civil commercial character of the party or of the contract is to be taken into consideration in determining the application of this convention. Okay, so this seems to be clear that we ignore, okay, nationality. We also ignore the civil or commercial characters of the party or of the contract in question. Okay, that is something which requires to be said for clarity. Okay, now we are moving on to consider the exclusion. Okay, exclusions from the application of the CISG. Okay, even though that when we have determined the internationality requirements, it doesn't mean that the contract in question will be governed by the CISG all the time. Okay, because when some matters or some transactions, no, it stopped. So I need to just put it back to its function. Okay, let me just switch it on again. Okay, so that we are back to the having the audible voice. It might take some time to be put back. Right. Okay. Hello, the speaker. Can you just be back to your work now? Yes. Yes, I think that is now. I mean, it is back to its own work. Okay. That means that now the about 40 minutes. Okay, that have passed now. Okay, is now the 6:17. Right. We are going to have a break at about the 7 o'clock, or almost 7 o'clock. Okay. Again, what I just try to say is that when we have determined the internationality requirements, it doesn't mean that CISG will apply to the contract in question. Okay, even though it is an international sale, that is because some matters or some transactions are simply excluded from the application of the CISG. Okay, then now we have three groups here. Okay, three groupings of exclusion. The first one deals with the consumer sale. Okay, CISG is intended to apply to commercial sale, not just consumer sale. So that consumer sale is placed outside the application of the CISG. We are going to look at that. Okay, that is something that dealt with by Article 2A of the CISG. The second thing is that some sales of certain types, okay, or sales of certain goods are not within the application of the CISG. Okay, they are simply excluded from the application of the CISG. Okay, these transactions are listed in the Article 2B, 2F of the CISG. And thirdly, there are some transactions which, even they look like sale, okay, some transactions, okay, are not purely sale, even though it looked like sale in the sense that it involves some delivery of goods, but they are not pure sale. Okay, so CISG deal with this in Article 3. Okay, now we deal with the first one. Okay, we'll look at the first one first. Consumer sales. As I have mentioned, okay, CISG, the UN Conventions for Contract for International Sale Goods, is intended to apply to just commercial sale. Okay, if the same question is in nature it is a consumer sale, then CISG will not apply at all, even though the internationality requirements are met. Okay, if you look at Article 2A, okay, this convention does not apply to sale of goods bought for personal, family, or household use. See, so when the sale is made for personal use, family use, or household use, we call that sale a consumer sale, so that it is not covered by the ambit of the CISG. Okay, but in order for that to be excluded from the application of the CISG, the seller need to know that it is consumer sale. If the seller did not know and should not have known that it is consumer sale, then the CISG would nonetheless apply. Okay, so if you look at this exclusion, it is in the Article 2A, 2A of CISG. Again, I read the wording. The convention does not apply to sales of goods bought for personal, family, or household use, unless the seller at the time before or at the conclusion of the contract neither knew or ought to have known that the goods were bought for any such use. So we can see that that if I buy something for my own use, I buy my computer for my own use, that is just customer sale, and when there is no way that CISG will apply to this contract, even though when you're A and B, even though when the parties are in different states, and those different states are CISG states. Okay, now when we talk about the customer sale, again, it is the sale for personal use, family use, or household use, provided that the seller knew of that the household use, personal use, or family use. If the seller did not know and should not have known that, then the CISG would still apply if the internationality requirements are met. Okay, but the thing is that we have to consider whether or not a sale in question is a consumer sale in the sense of buying something for personal use, family use, or household use or not. You have to consider these transactions. Can I just go to the screen to have a check, okay, whether you are all right, okay? At the moment, are you all right? Okay, I think that some of you here are watching, okay? I do not get any phone call from anyone telling me about something wrong, okay, so that I should presume that things seem to be all right at the moment, okay? Or if you encounter any technical problem, can you make a phone call to me to let me know of the problem, okay? Thank you very much for that. I'm grateful for your help. Okay, thank you, Warwi. You are such a very good student. Okay, I'm sure that you will have great success. Okay, because you are a very very good student. Okay, Warwi. I admire you very much. Okay. Good. Now back to my desk. Okay. Now let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this transactions. I forget to just check at my iPhone. Okay, to make sure that the video which I'm now recording seems to be all right. Okay, now we are, that we are videoing this. This lecture. Okay, that I have got about. I see the time. Okay, running on my iPhone. Okay, now is 10 minutes. 55 seconds. Okay, fine. Okay. So if something wrong, if there is anything wrong, okay, with regard to the Facebook Live, okay, I'm going to just upload the video file which I am recording, okay, on my iPhone, okay, onto YouTube, okay, for your viewing. Good. Back to my desk now, okay. Look at these transactions and tell me whether or not a sale in question is a customer sales in the sense of buying something for personal use, family use, or the household use. Okay, in the example number 1, okay, we have a sale by tourist. Let's say that Borrowi goes to Japan on tour. During being on tour of Japan, Borrowi purchased, let's say that, a camera. Is that a consumer sale? The answer is yes, because Borrowi just make a purchase for his own use, for his personal use, so that even though let's say that Borrowi has a place of business in Germany, and of course Japan is a CISG state. Okay, so Japan has now joined the CISG. Okay, so that even though we have the internationality requirements, i.e. Two parties have places of business in different conflicting states, right? But CISG does not apply to this agreement simply because it is considered as just a consumer sales in the sense that, okay, it is bought for what? The product here is bought for just personal use or household use, so that the CISG will not apply. It's not the intention of the CISG to apply to a consumer sale. Okay, so it is clear from the first example that CISG does not apply. Now let's have a look at the example number 2. Okay, and tell me whether or not the same question is a consumer sale or a or a non-consumer sale. Okay, let's suppose that somebody also bought a camera. Okay, during the tour of Japan. Okay, but the thing is that that person is a photographer. He just purchased a camera for using it, okay, for his profession in this case. Is that considered as a consumer sale? we have to, interpret this provisions of law, okay, and we have to apply this law to the facts, okay. The law say that it is a customer sale if it is a purchase for what, for personal use, okay, or family use or household use. Given that in this case, the person who buys this camera, he is a photographer and he has purchased this camera for use in his profession. Okay, so in this case, we perhaps cannot consider that is a consumer sale. We cannot consider that the sale, the purchase here, okay, it is for personal use or for family use, okay, because it is used for the profession. All right, so that is the question of the application of law. Okay, you have to interpret the provisions of law, okay, in order to suit the facts. Okay, now moving on to the example, the next example, a sale of toiletries. The sale of toiletries by a business, okay, for personal use of this company's employees. Let's suppose that the company A has purchased a lot of toiletries, okay, for use by this company's employees. Even though it is for personal use of employees, but the thing is that those employees work for the company, so that the sales questions the same question cannot be considered as a sale for the family use or personal use or household use, because it is used by the company for its own business, so that the sale in the example number 3 here may not be perceived as a consumer sale. It is a non-consumer sale, so that CISG can apply if the internationality requirements are met. Okay. Now, according to the last example here, we have in this example, a sale of a single automobile by a dealer for resale. Let's say that a car dealer just purchases a car for resale. Okay. In this case, even though it is a sale of just a single car, just one car, okay, but the sale is intended to be made for resale when the purpose is for resale. Wait. I get the red signal, okay? I get the red signal telling me that the battery just becomes low, okay, so that I have now changed the microphone to the new one here, okay, just with which is equipped with full battery, okay. Now, all right, back to this one. Even though the sale in question, it is a sale of just only one car, but it is for resale. When the purpose of this sale is for resale, can we say that this sale is this goods, okay, this car is bought for personal use, family use, or household use? I don't think so in this case, okay, so because when the purpose is for resale, so that when the purpose is for resale, we can conclude that the same question, it is not a consumer sale. It is a non-consumer sale, so that if the internationality requirements according to Article 11A or 11B are met, then CISG can also apply. Okay. Now, let's have a look at this one now. Okay. Now we come to exclusion number 2. Okay. If we go back to this slide, we can see that we have the exceptions. Or the exclusions from the application of the CISG. We have seen the first exclusion, i.e. that a consumer sale is not governed by the CISG. The consumer sales are placed outside the application of the CISG. Okay. Now we come to the exclusion number 2. Maybe this one is number 2. Okay. Another exclusion is this one. Okay, there are some transactions which look like sales at beginning, but when we consider them carefully, we will know that they are not pure sale, even though they are involved with some delivery of goods. They are not pure sale. Okay, CISG just speak of this one in two scenarios. The scenario one is this. Okay, the scenario one is the scenario one is the one in which, okay, somebody just order the goods, or somebody just, they ask somebody else to manufacture the goods. Okay, when you order the goods, or when you just ask somebody to manufacture the goods, is that a sale? The CISG say that, well, yes, if A just employ B to build something, okay, or to do something, okay, which involves delivery of the product, it may be the sale. They say that I am A, you are B, I engage you to produce shoes. Right. CISG say that, well, it may be the sale. It is not the sale if the one who order provides or supplies, the one who order undertakes to supply a substantial part of the material necessary for such manufacture or production. Okay, this is scenario number one. We are going to come back to this scenario later, but let me just tell you these two scenarios first. Okay, this scenario number one is what I have mentioned to you. Now we are coming to scenario number two. In the scenario number two, okay, the scenario number two involves the situation where there is the combination between provision of labor or services and delivery. That means that the contract in question involves both supply of services or labor and the delivery of goods. Okay, will that contract be considered as sales? We will talk about that later. So now we deal with these two scenarios. These two scenarios are, okay, they are listed in Article 3 of the CISG. So if you look at, Article 3 of the CISG, Article 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 deal with scenario number 1, while 3, 2 deals with the scenario number 2, which we have earlier mentioned. Now we're coming to scenario number 1. If you look at the wording here, okay, contracts for the supply of goods to be manufactured or produced, are to be considered sales, unless the party who orders the goods undertakes to supply a substantial part of the materials necessary for such manufacture or production. Okay, so in a way, this contract involves what? The rule is that, okay, when somebody does, order the goods from somebody else, when A order the goods from B, okay, yeah, when A order the goods from B and asks B to manufacture those goods or to produce those goods, will that be considered as a sale? Okay, in this country we have also distinction between sale and the so-called hire of work, or in Thai จ้างทำของ. Remember? Okay, when let's say that I am A, you are B, I employ you to produce shoes. Okay, I employ you to produce, let's say that when the 2,000 pairs of shoes. Is this contract sales? CISG say that if you look at in Article 3.1, 3.1 say that Well, in this situation, the situation where one person, the one person, okay, that engage another person to manufacture or to produce the goods, that is also considered as sale. This is the rule, okay? But there is the exception, okay? The rule is that it is also a sale when A employs or hires B to produce, okay, goods for A. That is also considered as sale. But the exception is this: when A employ B to produce or to manufacture the goods for A, the rule is that it's the sale, except that if A, okay, undertake to supply a substantial part of the materials necessary for such manufacture or production, it will not be sale. A employ B, to produce or manufacture, manufacture what? Manufacture, let's say, oil tank and oil tankers. Let's suppose that A undertake to supply a substantial part of materials. So, a substantial part of materials which are necessary for producing these goods are from A. In this case, it will not be considered as a sale. Why so? Because if A sells something to B, if A sells this to B, the thing is that A will have to deliver the goods to B. A will have to transfer the ownership in these goods to B. A will have to transfer the title, okay, in these goods to B. But when A, put the other way around, okay? Let's say that when A employ, okay, B, or when A engages B to make the goods for A, and on the facts, it is A that that supply the material part of, the substantial part of the material. So in this case, when A undertake to supply a substantial part of the materials for this transaction, the ownership, okay, the ownership in what? The ownership in the goods, okay. The ownership in the goods rests with A from the beginning, because A undertakes to supply a substantial part of the materials. How can we say that A transfer ownership in the goods to B? In this case, when A at the beginning owned, the substantial part of materials, in this case, it will not be considered as the sale. Right, so I think that the reason seems to be quite clear. The reason behind the provision of law seems to be quite clear, okay? Wait, now, because now I switch off the air conditioner, because I suspected that, that it is the air conditioner which caused interference, but now I believe that it is not the air conditioner which caused interference. So let me just turn on the air conditioner, because I feel very warm, very hot in this room now, okay? Are you still all right? Kanyarat, Muantong and Warawi, are you still all right? Can you tell me whether you can still hear me all right now? Okay, Warawi, send me the message, okay, to tell me whether everything is still fine. Can I hear some words from Warawi now? Okay, the recording seems to be fine now. Yes, Varavi say yes. Very good, Varavi. Okay, you are still a very good student. Okay, and also I get a message from Farida Niti Utai. Okay, Farida Niti Utai saying that everything is operating very fine. Very good, very good. Okay, I am grateful to all of you who bring the message to me. Okay, everybody seems to be very cooperative. Okay. Paraya China Wei. Okay, then thank you very much for all of you. Okay, now I'm going back to my desk. Okay, good. Okay, now I hope that is clear to you. Okay, back to the scenario number one. Just now we have seen that when we get a contract whereby a person engages the other one, okay, to manufacture or to produce the goods, okay, that is also considered as a sale, except that where A, okay, who engages B, A who engages B to produce the goods for A, undertakes to supply a substantial part of the materials necessary for the manufacture or production of the goods. In that case, it is not a sale anymore because it is A who owns, a large part, or to use the wording of the CISG, it is A who owns, a substantial part of the materials at the beginning. So that in this case, we cannot say that A transfer, that we cannot say that B, okay, when A engages B to produce the goods for A, okay, and on the facts, it is A who provides a substantial part of the materials in order for B to manufacture the goods for A. When a substantial part of the materials, okay, is from A, that means that when this is from A at the beginning, that means that A owns, that A owns this thing, A owns a large part of this product at the beginning. So that in this case, we cannot perceive that B can transfer the ownership in this goods to A when A earn, a large or, a substantial part of the materials at the beginning. If it is like this, then that transaction is not a sale, so that it does not fall within the application of the CISG at all. Right, so the reasons seem to be very straightforward, okay? So now we are coming to the exception number 2. Sorry, before going to the exception number 2, okay? The keyword of the first scenario is this one. The keyword is the substantial part of the materials. How do you know? How do you determine? How do you determine a substantial part of the materials? If we look at the digest, the CISG digest, we can see that we can just have a test, on the basis of what? On the basis of quantitative consideration, and also in some cases on the basis of qualitative consideration, okay? We can resort to a quantitative test. Looking at the quantity, let's suppose that A engaged B to manufacture something for A. Okay, the A does employs or hires B to manufacture something for A. Okay, in this case, let's suppose that this thing require material number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 to number 10. Okay, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6 to number 10. Let's suppose that A provides the material number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, and the remaining three items are from B. In this case, we can see that in terms of quantity, A provides a very large quantity. Okay, A provides item number 1 to number 7, while B provides just 3 out of 10 items. In this case, when we do the quantitative test, we can see that A undertake to provide what? A undertake to supply a substantial part of the material, so that in this case, the contract between A and B will not be considered as a sale, Okay, because A, okay, owns all of this. A owns the material number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the beginning. How can we say that? How can we say in the situation that B transfer, ownership to A? This is why the CISG say that if A, asks B to manufacture, if A employs B to manufacture or to produce the goods for A, and A undertakes to supply a substantial part of the materials necessary for the production of those goods, then in this case, it is not the contract between A and B is not a sale. Okay, but sometimes we also resort to the qualitative test. That means that not just quantity but quality. Again, the contract is made between A and B, whereby A engages B to produce the goods for A, and those goods require, right, the material. That let's suppose that the contract requires, the supply of require, the material number 1 to number 10. Okay. A supply just material number 1 and number 2, while B provide material number 3 to 10. In this case, even though A undertakes to supply just material number 1 and number 2, but let's suppose that the material number 1 and number 2 are very, very important. Okay? So that even though, that in terms of the amount, in terms of the quantity, okay, it is not substantial enough. But in terms of quality, okay, these two items are very, very important. Out of these 10 items, item number 1 and number 2 represent the most crucial items. In this case, we can consider that, A undertakes to supply a substantial part of the materials necessary for the manufacture or production of these goods for A, so that in this case the contract between A and B is not considered as a sale item. Okay, this is the exception number 1. Now we're coming to the I try to skip some slides, okay, because the time may not permit me to cover everything. So that if you have your term, okay, you can go and have a look at the remaining slides which are not covered by my lecture. Okay, now we are coming to the scenario number 2. The scenario number 2, okay, the which represents the exception. The exception is this one. Okay, if in the contract consent, if the contract consent involves a combination between two things. Right now, the loudspeaker switch off by yourself again. Okay, so now I have to just put it back to its own function. All right. Let me have a look at the screen now to check whether I get your message. Okay, telling me some problems so far so good. Okay, you can still hear me now. Okay, very, very, very good. Okay. Now back to this one. Oh my God! How many slides left? 12. About 12 slides left. Okay, before I finish, this fine. Now, when there is a combination between two things, the first thing is supply of labor or services. The second thing is delivery of the goods. When a contract in question involves a combination between the two things like this, okay, we will have to consider whether or not it is the sale. Now let's have a look at what is said in the CISG, where we have the combination of the two like this. According to Article 3.2 of the CISG, this convention does not apply to contracts in which the preponderant part of the obligations of the party who furnishes the goods consists in the supply of labor or other services. That means what? That means that when we have a contract which is concerned with the combination between supply of labor or services and delivery of goods, we will have to compare the value. We will have to compare the value between the two things here. Okay. If the value in respect of the labor or services is very large, or to use the language in the CISG, if the obligations which constitute the supply of labor or services, okay, if the obligation involving the supply of the labor or services is the preponderant part, then that is not the sale, it is something else, so that the CISG will not apply. So according to Article 3.2 of the CISG, we need to compare what? We need to compare the economic value between labor and services and the goods. Which one is larger? Which one represents, the preponderant part? If the economic value of the labor or services is the preponderant part, then the contract in question will not be the sale. But if the economic value consisting of the labor or services seem to be small, it seems to be trivial, or seem to be not comparable to the economic value, okay, in the goods, in the part which deal with the goods, then that is the sale. Okay, I think that we have a lot of examples, okay, which involve the combination between the two, i.e. between the provision of labor or services and the delivery of the goods. Okay, again, back to this slide. If we have a contract which is concerned with the combination between the two, i.e. the supply of labor or services and the delivery of the goods, we will have to compare the economic value between the two. Which one is larger? Which one represents, to use the language of the CISG, which one represents the preponderant part? All right. Now let's have a look at some example. We can see a contract which involves the combination of the delivery of the goods and also provision of some labor or services. Sometimes we get a contract for delivery of goods plus the obligation to do the installation. Okay, installation. The goods or the product will have to be installed. Now, the obligation consists of two parts. The first part is the delivery of goods. The second part is installation. In this case, we have to compare, the value or economic value of these two parts. Which one is the preponderant part? Okay, so if the cost or if the price which is charged for its installation is quite small, okay, that is considered as sale because the large part of the price consists of the delivery of the goods. In this case, the contract in question is considered as a sale rather than the contract for the supply of service per se. So when we get a sale plus something else which is concerned with the supply of labor or services, if the obligation which consists of the supply of labor or services, okay, it is not the preponderant part, then the contract in question is considered as a sale nonetheless. Sometimes we get the combination, we get a mixture between what? Between the delivery of the goods and the assembly parts of the goods which are going to be delivered to the buyer need to be assembled by the seller. The seller will have to undertake to first deliver the goods. Secondly, assembling, okay, we have to assemble the goods. So two applications, delivery and assembly. If the cost of assembly is something quite small, something not quite comparable to the economic value in the part which is concerned with the delivery of the goods, then the contract in question is what? If the cost of the assembly seem to be small, not comparable to the part which deal with the delivery of goods, then that is a sale. But if the economic value of the part which deal with the assembly of some parts of the goods represent the preponderant part, in that case it is not a sale. Sometimes we also get a contract which require the party who deliver the goods also to provide some training. In a way, it is a contract whereby A deliver the product to B, and A is also required to do the training for B. Let's say that B purchases a very important medical equipment or medical device, and when B buy this medical device from A, the contract between A and B also requires A to provide some training. A, the seller, will have to train B personnel how to use this instrument or this medical device. So the contract consists of two parts: the part which deal with supply of services or supply of labor, and the part which deal with the delivery of the goods. Let's suppose that the price, the large part of the price is from delivery of goods. The price, which is from the training, the remuneration which is from the training seem to be something very small. In this case, the contract in question, it is going to be considered as a sale. Even though we get the combination between supply of the labor or services and the delivery of the goods, if the cost which involves the training seem to be so small, that application, it is not the preponderant part of the application, so that the contract in question, it is also the sale. But if the provision of labor seem to cost a lot, so that it is the preponderant part of the application, then it is not the sale. It is, some of the contract, it may be, in this country, it may be called a contract of hire of work or จ้างทำของ all right. In some of the countries, this kind of contract may be called by any other name, right? Now again, the CISG just uses the wording preponderant part if we have the combination between the two, the supply of labor or services and the delivery of the goods. If the application which consists of the provision of labor or services is the preponderant part, then that contract is not a sale. So the question which we have to go through is how to determine the preponderant part. Of course, in this case, we have to just do the comparison as I have mentioned. We have the example. This is a real case which has been brought to I can't remember, to the court or to the arbitral tribunal. For your information, the UNCITRAL, the United Nations Conventions on International Trade Law, or UNCITRAL, has established a database for storing the cases which have been brought before the court or which have been brought before the tribunal, arbitral tribunal. Those cases, cases which are found on such database, it is those cases are called CLOUT cases, okay? Cloud cases, okay? CLOUT stand for case law on untituled. Case law on untituled. Okay, the purpose of setting up this database is this. That CISG promotes uniformity. Okay, if this case happen here and country A decide this way, and the same case, the case with the same facts occur in country B, and the court of country B decide this case in a different way, then there is no uniformity. So in order for promoting uniformity, CISG just got cases which have been brought before the court or which have been brought before the arbitral tribunal in order for the court or tribunal to look at. Okay, if the tribunals or the courts decide cases in the same way, then we can just promote the uniformity of the application of the CISG. Okay, so you can find many the CLOUT cases on the the CISG database. In fact, sorry, the untituled database. Okay, so in this case, every case has the number. Now we talk about cloud case number 152, CLOUT case number 152. This case was concerned with what? This case was concerned with a contract which required, the delivery of what? Delivery of the second-hand hangar. The hangar is what? Hangar is a place for storing the aircraft. Somebody just wanted to buy the hangar, but the contract required, let's say A. Okay, A try to, the A and B, they made a contract whereby A would deliver this hangar to B, and A would also have to dismantle this hangar for B. The hangar would have to be removed, okay, and relocated for B. In this case, the contract consists of two parts. The part which deals with what? Delivery of the goods, i.e. the hangar, and the part which deals with the dismantling of this hangar and other facts. Okay, when we look at the enterprise, we could see that the remuneration which represented, the dismantling service, okay, accounted only for 25% of the total price. So the cost of dismantling service accounted for 25% of the total price. In this case, the application which dealt with the supply of service was not the preponderant part of the application, so that in this case, the contract in question was still considered as a sale. If we go back, to what is said in the article 3.2 of the CISG. Okay, this convention does not apply to contract in which the preponderant part of the obligation of the party who furnishes the goods consists in the supply of labor or other services, so that if the venue which is concerned with the provision of labor or other services seem to be quite small, it cannot be considered as the preponderant part of of the obligation, so that the contract in question, it is still a sale. Okay, so that this is also the exclusion, okay, of the transaction determined from the the application of CISG. If we get a contract which the deal with two part, the part dealing with the supply of labor services, and the part which is concerned with the delivery of the goods. If the part which deal with the supply of labor or services is the preponderant part, then it will not be the same. Now, before I go back, before I leave this topic, okay, let's get back to the exception, okay. We have seen exception number 1, exception number 2. Now, we will look at exception number 3 here, okay, something in between here, okay. Certain types of the sales or certain types of goods will be placed outside the application of the CISG. Okay, now we can see this exclusion, okay, in Article 2B to F. If you look at them in 2B, okay, 2B to F here. Okay, you can see that these are the sales or the transactions which are placed outside the application of the CISG, even though they may be the sale, but okay, it is felt that they should not fall within the application of the CISG. You look at this item, the sale by auction, the sale on execution or otherwise by authority of law, the sale of stocks, shares, investment securities, negotiable instruments or money, the sale of ships, vessel, hovercraft or aircraft, the sale of electricity. These are not governed by the CISG. Why so? The reason seem to be quite complicated. Okay, for some items, it was felt at the time that it should be outside the application of the CISG, because the negotiation seem to take a long time. Sometimes many countries seem to have the debate as to whether CISG should include this and that. Okay, sometimes the consensus didn't seem to be reached quite easily, so that the law drafters or the representatives of of each country, seem to say that in order for the CISG, in order for the convention to be reached, then we should bring these items out of the application of the CISG, so that we can reach consensus, quite soon, something like that, okay. So the reason why CISG includes this and that seem to be something related to the promotion of consensus, right? If some matters seem to be hard to get consensus, then those matters seem to be placed outside the application of the CISG. Okay. Now, before we end this topic, we should also see that. Let me go to the final part of my lecture. Okay, there are a couple of things which are placed outside the application of the CISG. First, the matters which deal with validity of the contract. Those matters are not governed by the CISG. Those matters are placed outside the application of the CISG. They are placed outside the scope of application of the CISG. When we talk about what? When we talk about the validity, we think of many issues. Let's say that. When we talk about the issue regarding what? Regarding, let's say that the contract becoming void or voidable. Whether or not a contract will become void or will become voidable, that is a matter dealing with the validity, so that is not governed by the CISG. CISG just place the matters dealing with the validity outside the scope of application of the CISG. Look at that. Let's say that when we talk about the mistake, whether or not the contract between A and B is void or voidable on the ground of mistake, whether or not a contract is voidable on the ground of duress, misrepresentations or fraud, or whether this contract was enforceable or unenforceable due to the lack of consideration, all these matters are considered as those which are concerned with validity of a contract, so that those matters do not fall within the scope of application of the CISG. This is according to Article 4 of the CISG. Article 4 says that this convention governs only the formation of the contract of sale and the rights or obligations of the seller and the buyer arising from such contract. In particular, except as otherwise expressly provided in this convention, it is not concerned with the validity of a contract. See? So if we deal with the question as to whether or not a contract is void or is voidable for some reason, we will have to determine that matter by reference to the domestic law. Okay, not the CISG. We have to consider we have considered that by reference to the law outside the CISG. Okay. Also, one thing which is placed outside the application of CISG is the property in the goods. Property means what? Property here means ownership. So if we deal with the question of the passing of ownership, the transfer of ownership, this is not to be dealt with by the CISG. Okay, the passing of property of ownership, it is not something falling within the scope of application of the CISG. Okay, the reason for the excluding this matter from the application of the CISG, it is that this matter seems to be very complicated. Okay, different countries have different rules with respect to the transfer or the passing of the property or ownership. So that means if CISG would say something about this, okay, it would be hard to reach consensus. Okay, now, right, have a look at have a look at the one more thing. Okay, one more thing which is not included in the application or in the in the scope of application of the CISG is this. Okay, the matters which concern liability of the seller for death or personal injury. These matters are not to be dealt with by the CISG. Let's say that A, the seller, okay, sell a car to B, okay, and after A has delivered the car to B, this car has a defect and causes, let's say that, physical injury to B. Okay, the matter concerning the physical injury like this, it is not the matter dealt with by the CISG. It should be dealt with by specific law. It should be dealt with by a separate body of law. Maybe the law of tort, maybe the law of product liability, the law on product liability. Okay, so it is not the intention of the CISG to cover this kind of thing. Okay, so this matter, it is also placed outside the application of the CISG as well. Okay, so when we have excluded the matters, okay, some matters out of the scope of the application of the CISG, we ask the question that what matters fall within the scope of application of the CISG. Okay, CISG will deal with first, formation of the contract. Secondly, obligation of the parties, obligation of the seller and the buyer, and it also deals with the passing of risk, not the passing of property. Remember, the passing of property or ownership, it is not dealt with by the CISG, it is dealt with by a separate body of law. Okay, CISG also deals with what? Also deals with breach and remedy, and it also deals with exception of liability in the case of force majeure. Okay, we will explore all these matters. Okay, the after this. Okay, let's have a look at the time now. It's 8 something now. Okay, sorry, it's 2 minutes to it's 1 minute to 8. Okay, I think that means we will have a break, the second break, and then after After the break, okay, a short break for about 5 minutes. Okay, then we will come back. Okay, to consider the formation of contract. All right. So let's have a break right now. Thank you. See you.